My name is Abdullah, the Annihilator. Let me assure you, Islam will enter every household in every Western country, whether you like it or not. Because the world is divided into two. One is Islam, and the other is everyone else of disbelievers and infidels. It is from our religion that we must hate all Christians and Jews and any other infidels or disbelievers for the sake of Allah. The Quran describes the disbelievers and the infidels as filthy, unclean, impure of souls, monkeys, pigs, imbeciles. Why should we care or be friends with people like that? We are better than you. For Allah says in the Holy Quran, do not falter, do not call for peace, for you are superior and have the upper hand. Allah promises us in the Quran that Islamic nation will inherit the earth and rule over it, for we are superior to everything else, every system, and superior to every government, and superior to all ways of life. Even the Prophet Muhammad promises us that the judgment day will never come until Islam prevails on everything and everyone else. We are going to continue to put pressure on all of you because there are a lot of people of us. In Europe alone, we are over 50 million Muslims. Who do you think you are? We are too big of a number. In 50 years, there will be one Muslim in every 3 people. You cannot get rid of us. We will get rid of you. You are nothing but weaklings. We will be your doom. You are the wood fire of hell. This is exactly what they say word for word. This is not a made-up script at all. But now, let's see what the moderate, liberal, peaceful Muslims would say about that.
Oh no! Oh la la! Those people are extremists. They don't represent Islam. They misinterpret the Quran. Let me assure you, Islam is not like this at all. Islam, it's the religion of peace, acceptance, unicorns, butterflies, lollipops and bubblegums. Islam respects all human beings and all other religions. I mean, look at me. Look at me. I am a gay Muslim. I am a liberal, moderate, peaceful Muslim. And we are the majority. Don't judge us Muslims by the little number of extremist terrorists. You should believe me.
Now, who should you believe? Mr. Felix Fanny or Abdullah the Annihilator? The answer is Abdullah the Annihilator is the true Islam, exactly. And the liberal, moderate, peaceful Muslim, they don't know anything about their own religion. They only know the superficial things. Even when they read the Quran, they never finish it all. And if they do read it all from a cover to cover, they don't know what it means because it is the old classical Arabic that is very difficult to understand. So they just read without understanding the meaning. And those peaceful Muslims, they don't know the history of Islam. They don't know that the Quran permits marrying and having sex with underage girls who haven't reached puberty yet. They don't know that their prophet had sex with a 9 years old girl. I mean, listen, and I was one of them. I have been always openly gay man. And however, I used to defend Islam and Muslims till the age of 39. Now I'm 44. I never knew about these things till the beginning of 40s. So yes, the Muslim, peaceful, liberal people, they don't know really Islam. But first, welcome to the Gay Ali Baba Show, where we fudge pack some brownies, dry, long and hard, until you're fully stuffed and satiated. Now let's get into the nitty and gritty of it all.
Look, Islam will enter every household, whether you like it or not. The world has divided into two. One is Islam and those who want to destroy that.
The Islamic invasion and infiltration to Western countries and societies like Europe, Canada, America, Australia, and New Zealand is real. However, is it a calculated, planned, intentional by Muslims, or is it just a natural, unexpected negative outcome of the Western values of equality, social justice, freedom of expression and speech, human rights, helping refugees, and immigration process along the year? The answer is, it is a mixture of both. It started as natural negative outcome to all that. However, Muslims, they started to notice that their numbers are growing. I mean, listen, Muslims, they spawn like frogs. Almost 50 million Muslims in Europe alone. And in 50 years, there is going to be one Muslim in every 3 people. And this is when they started to intentionally plan to infiltrate Western societies. And they are achieving this by the means of 4 different ways. The first one, they are exploiting intentionally the Western values, the concept of equality, social justice, human rights, freedom of expression and speech, and the immigration regulations. So whenever one of them gets the citizenship or permanent residence, they immediately start to bring their family members from Islamic countries. And of course, whenever they have kids born in Western countries, they immediately also get the citizenship. Those kids will have the nationality of that country. So basically, they are depending on the left party, the left, the Democrat, the Labour as they call it in the UK, to push their agenda and impose their way of life down people's throats, and then face bang them like this. They saw the values that makes Western countries great, a flaw in the system to exploit and take advantage of. Which is very funny because it shows how hypocrite Muslims are. Muslims countries don't offer any of these rights to any foreigners. And you don't see Muslims calling their own Muslim countries as racist or fascist or xenophobic. But when Western people complain about the immigration issue and how they are becoming minority in their own countries, Muslims immediately, you're fascist, you're racist, you're discriminating us, you are far right, and all this awful crap. Muslims and Islam don't extend the same courtesy that the Western society give to Muslim immigrants.
It is from our religion that we have to hate them for the sake of Allah.
The kuffar. We hate the kuffar for the sake of Allah. Because why? Because they disbelieve in Allah.
The second way that the Muslims are using to take over Western countries is by having more and more children. Even Muslims among themselves, they have a saying. It goes like this: the West has atomic bombs, but we Muslims, we have reproductive bombs that they can give birth to a lot of babies. So basically, they indoctrinate those kids to take over the West or to use themselves as suicide bombers. Basically, how are they going to exploit their growth in numbers to take over the Western countries? By doing to Western countries what Hezbollah, the terrorist group, did to Lebanon. Let me give you a brief history so you understand how they are going to do it. Just like Christianity has different sectors, Catholic, Protestant, and others, Islam also has different sectors. The two big ones, Sunni and Shia. Hezbollah is an Islamic Shia group, and it is a proxy of Iran. So let me read for you very quickly. Hezbollah, the terrorist group, grew in numbers in Lebanon. And as a result, they participated in the Lebanese election since 1992. And it has drawn popular support from its vast network of schools, mosques, clinics, and the use of social service, until Hezbollah officially succeeded to secure a place in the Council of Ministers of Lebanon, which is formerly known as the Cabinet of Lebanon, in 2005. And since then, it has held 1 to 3 seats in each Lebanese government. And this is how Hezbollah, they become a country within the country of Lebanon. And they took over the south of Lebanon, and they caused civil war. And anyway, the destruction of Lebanon that is happening at the moment, it is because of Hezbollah. It is not because of Israel. And this is what Muslims are trying to do in Western countries. For example, the UK. They want to secure a place in the House of Commons and become a legitimate party with as many seats as possible. And if that happens, they are going to apply Islamic Sharia law, and they are going to ban anything British that goes against Islam. And this is how they are exploiting their growth on numbers by giving birth to a lot of children to take over Western countries.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised this ummah in this Quran that the ummah will inherit this earth. That the ummah will rule over this earth, not just part of the earth, the earth.
The third way that they are using to take over Western countries is by preventing their kids and their family members and relatives and the family members that are immigrating from abroad from integrating with Western society. They all live in a very tight community far away from the center or from any Western culture and society. Their kids only go to Islamic schools. Their daughters, they make them wear hijab from a very early age before they even reach puberty. The boys are always in mosques. They don't get in touch with anything Western. Art, music, history, galleries, exhibitions, anything, nothing at all. And you have to understand something very important. For Muslims, this is considered jihad. Jihad means that you have to spread Islam with any means possible, whether via aggressive way or passive aggressive way. So Muslims, they call it peaceful jihad, but in reality it is passive aggressive, the long game. And this is what they are doing.
And we are going to continue putting pressure on you. We are a lot of people here. There's 50 million Muslims in Europe. Who do you think you are? Wallahi, who do you think you are? Don't ever think that we're going to remain quiet. We're too big a number. Pew says we're going to be 1 of every 3 people in 50 years. You can't get rid of us.
The fourth way they use to take over Western countries, it is something we have just discovered recently from credible source. Listen to this. Over the past decades, Qatar has spent huge sums of funding the construction of mega mosques all over Europe. In return, Qatar gets to pick and choose the imams who teaches Muslims about certain radical things. By the way, the imam in Islam is equivalent to the pastor in churches, okay? Anyway, let's continue. And this has resulted in the radicalization of young Muslims in the UK, France, Sweden, and Germany. However, now I'm sure that the moderate, peaceful, liberal Muslims who are watching this video right now are going to say,
Oh no! This is impossible. I shan't believe it. It is impossible that all the 50 million Muslims in Europe are all plotting and planning and doing this thing. It's impossible. I assure you, only a small fraction they are doing these horrible things. That small fraction of Muslims, they do not represent Islam. They misinterpret the Quran. In Islam, we only use violence when we are attacked, only to defend ourselves. But we never just go attacking people and forcing ourselves on them. This is not Islam.
well, you know what? Let me tell you a very interesting fact. Since the 11th of September 2001, when the terrorists attacked the Twin Towers in America, 46,463 terrorist attacks happened in the name of Allah since then. So please, don't tell me that doesn't represent Islam and this has nothing to do with Muslims. Huh? Anyway, let me humor you. Let's say, yes, only fraction of the 50 millions on Europe alone, they are the extreme and the terrorist. But is it relevant? Is it valid? No, it is not. And here is why. Let's watch this small clip by Brigitte Gabriel. She is an American Lebanese conservative, author and lecturer and critic of Islam. Let's see what she says.
There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful. Yet the Nazis drove the agenda. And as a result, 60 million people died. Almost 14 million in concentration camps. 6 million were Jews. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well. Yet the Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well. Yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well. Yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroy the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. So for all our powers of reasons and us talking about moderate and peaceful Muslims, I'm glad you're here. But where are the others speaking out? And since you are the only Muslim representative...
She's amazing, isn't she? But let me add some more information on top of what she said. So you have to understand, Muslims also terrorize other Muslims. So at the moment they are calling the Israel committing genocide against the Palestinians. Let's say Muslims have killed 500,000 Muslims in Syria. Muslims, they killed another 500,000 in Sudan, 400,000 in Yemen, and 300,000 in Iraq. This is what Muslims did to other Muslims. How come the 75% who are peaceful Muslims didn't say anything? They didn't go marching and protesting all over Western countries about this. But only when Israel is defending itself, they all went to the streets, the Palestinian flags and screaming and causing riots and all that. But when Muslims kill other Muslims, they don't say a word. And this is proves to you, Muslims don't care about Palestinians. They just hate Jews. End of story. If Muslims were killing the Palestinians, they wouldn't have marched or protested at all.
Stockholm is less than 1 million, right? And in Stockholm, if you have 10% Muslim, I was in the city of Malmö, and they said that if the Swedish population maintains its negative and the Muslim population maintains, Muslims have, mashallah, the average of what, 5, 6, 7 kids, right? The average, mashallah, that's a secret weapon, I say. That the prediction is, I was told by one of the local councillors there, that within one generation, it is very likely that this city will almost be half Muslim.
The second reason why it is irrelevant that only small fracture of the Muslim community are terrorists and extreme, because the liberal, moderate, peaceful Muslim is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as a moderate, peaceful person. Every Muslim is a terrorist, no exception. And here is why. Those peaceful Muslims, yes, they don't want to kill people, they don't want to harm anyone, they don't carry knives, guns, bombs, and they shoot. They don't do that. However, their belief in Islam and the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, all that supports the person who wants to hurt the Western countries. They are not holding the knife, but their belief in Islam supports the person who holds the knife. So they are all terrorists by association. They believe in the same exact thing that those terrorists believes. But they say, oh, we didn't kill anyone. Yeah, but you believe the same thing. They just executed. And that's why I say there is no such thing as peaceful, moderate, liberal person. There is no good or bad Islam. It is only Islam. And those peaceful Muslims, they tell you that those terrorists and extremists, they misinterpret Islam. They don't understand Islam in the right way. This is not true. And here is why. Islam spread like cancer all over the planet. How did Islam 1,400 years ago spread from the Arabian Gulf? Do you think they traveled all the lands with muffin baskets and with muffin basket and cheese and with a card saying, please join us, we're nice people? No. They went there with their armies and swords, and they gave people 3 options. Whether you convert to Islam, or we kill you, or you pay us money. It's called jizya, a kind of tax. And on top of the tax you're paying, your family are all servants and slaves and sex slaves to us. This is how Islam spread. And if you don't understand why they have to pay tax for being in another religion, if you ask any modern Islamic scholar, they will tell you this tax is in order to protect them. So if anyone attacked the land, Muslim will defend them. And they cannot be in the Islamic army, otherwise they could betray us. So basically it's like mafia. You know, in the mafia, they go to people and they tell them, you know what, we're going to pay us money and we will protect you from the other gang. But if you don't pay us money, we're going to beat you up and torture you, just like the other gangs. Islamic religion, it's a religion of thugs, as simple as this. And the peaceful Muslims also say, oh, Islam doesn't attack people unless we are provoked and people attack us. So we just defend ourselves. Again, this is wrong. This is not true. If that's true, then why Muslims traveled from the Arabian Gulf to far land all the way to Spain to kill them and convert them and occupy it? I mean, was that self-defense? Were they defending themselves? It is not like Spanish troops went to the Arabian Gulf and attacked them there. It doesn't. So you cannot say that Islam did all this in order to defend themselves. From what? Why did they go to India and Pakistan and they killed so many Indians trying to, spread Islam in India, but they failed. Indians didn't go to attack them in the Arabian Gulf. So this reason that it is self-defense, this is wrong and redundant.
Rasulullah said, don't greet the Jews and the Christians before they greet you, and when you meet any of them on the roads, force them to go on the narrow side of it.
The third reason why the small fracture of extremists is irrelevant, because if you ask any Muslim, no matter how liberal they are, and you ask them, what comes first, your Islam and Allah or the country that you have citizenship in it? They will always choose Islam and Allah. Allah comes first. For every Muslim, their loyalty lies with Allah and Islam. They would sacrifice themselves for their religion, but not for the country that gives them citizenship and give them safety and benefits and all that. So you see, it is irrelevant if 75% of Muslims are peaceful. As long as your loyalty is with your religion, not with the country that is giving you home, you're not to be trusted.
But what is not being disputed among scholars is you cannot have a permanent peace. You cannot. This is not allowed in Islam.
The fourth and the last reason why it is irrelevant. 75% peaceful Muslims, they condemn the acts of those small fractures of terrorists and extremists, but they are not doing anything about it. They never stand up to them. Those peaceful Muslims, they don't get involved at anything. They are quiet as a mouse. They are cowards because they're afraid of any trouble. Therefore, since you are a peaceful Muslim and you're not doing any activity or any effort to stop those small fracture of extremists, then whatever they do will always have a great impact because there is no one standing up to them. You see? And this is why it is irrelevant that you are peaceful, because you're not doing anything to stop it.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised us victory over these major powers. One of the promises of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is that the day of judgment will not happen until Islam prevails and we become victorious and we will rule the whole world.
Now you know everything. You know the different ways Muslims are trying to infest Western countries with Islam. And you know why it doesn't make any difference whether most of Muslims are peaceful or not. However, how can we change this? How can we solve the problem of Muslim influence in the Western countries? What is our course of action? We made a video about this, as you can see on the screen. It is called How to Eliminate the Islamic Infestation from Western Countries. Go and watch it. Before I end this video, I want to say something very important. This video is not for Muslims. This video is for Westerners, especially the Islamic sympathizers. I want you to wake up and to see Muslims for what they are truly, wolves in sheep clothing. This video is a love letter to Western countries that took us. We became better human beings because of Western society. We learned about human rights, feminism, equality, equity, accepting each other's differences without insulting the other, without disparaging them. We learned humility. When I grew up in the Middle East, feeling that I'm superior, I'm better than everybody else just because I was Muslim. Being in the West taught me humility. So we owe, and every one of us here at the Gay Ali Baba Show, we owe so much to the Western countries. And this is why we're making this content. But this video, it is not a hate speech again towards Muslims. Nothing I said in this video is made up. Everything I said are facts. I'm not encouraging people to go and attack Muslims or threaten them or discriminate them. No, I'm just telling facts so that Westerners can finally wake up. However, if you're a Muslim and watching this video, I want to tell you something. Your days in Western countries are numbered. We are coming for you. And this is not a threat. This is not a warning. This is a promise. And now we have reached the end of the video. I wish you a day that it is as wonderful as you are. I'm very tired now, so I'm going to go to get stoned and find me some ass to eat and breed, then just watch movies with pizza and cuddling with my dogs. So, you'll see me soon.